It's rack number 274. I've got some exciting news on your screen. You see my website. I've completely updated my website, shortstoponpool.com. Just briefly look at it. There's an entirely redesigned homepage. It's going to be links to all my YouTube videos, the stuff that's for sale, plus instructional articles. There's a tab here or a menu item called Learn. And so that's going to have a link that takes you to the articles. It talks about my YouTube channel, my book, The Right Way program. There is a shop, takes you to the shop. There's 4 categories of things for sale. And then PLOG it's like a blog, but it stands for Pool Log blog. So I'm starting to write these articles, and a lot of them are linked to straight YouTube videos and vice versa. And I'm going to keep adding to these as time goes on. So this will be a great resource for free pool lessons. These are just short articles, 1 or 2 paragraphs at most, maybe 3, talking about a different aspect of pool or straight pool. Also, there's a menu item called 14-1 runs. You can watch the high runs of myself and John Schmidt for free from here. These link just to YouTube. You can see them on YouTube as well. Then there's the Rack of the Week video series and the Right Way program. Then there's also an FAQ. So there's some just simple type questions, business related questions on this tab. Plus, what cue do I play with? Pool basics, that's going to be fundamentals, things for beginners, and then beyond the basics. These are just simple FAQ type questions that people will ask. If you have suggestions for those, just send me a message at bob at shortstoponpool.com, and maybe that'll turn into an FAQ on my website or a blog article. Then there's About SSOP has been updated. It kind of goes through my whole history of just briefly of my history regarding pool and learning from John Schmidt and writing my book and the Right Way program. So that's the new website. As usual, I want to say hello to my newest subscribers on YouTube and Patreon, Baltimore Bullet and Kurt Chang and Chris Harris. Thank you for your support. Welcome, and let's get into this rack.
This week we're going to look at this break shot, but first I forgot to mention something. The last couple of weeks I showed a below the rack break shot, and I talked about how draw doesn't work. You don't need draw on the shot. I forgot to mention something. Some people think you need follow on this ball, in other words, topspin, and you don't. There's a real good reason why, and I just made a short video about it because it's directly related to the kick and stick shot that you see in a lot of games. The reason why you don't want to use topspin is you're going to be hitting this with a lot of speed, right? Well, the cue ball is going to have topspin heading into the rail, and when it bounces off the rail, it's still going to be spinning the same direction. That's equivalent to shooting at the bottom of the rack with backspin on the cue ball. And the best that can happen is it'll still be sliding and it'll stop right here, but often it'll hit this ball and it'll have that spin and go back to the foot rail. So now you're pushing balls up table and the cue ball is going back to the foot rail, so you don't get a shot. And what happens a lot is it'll hit, back off, and carom off a ball and scratch. So let's see where the cue ball goes and where the rack balls go. I'm going to shoot with straight topspin, no left or right. A nice and firm shot. Okay? I mean, the best shot we have is the one in the corner, and you're likely to not even get that. And notice there was that that carom that sent the cue ball this way. Try it at home. A lot of times, if you hit a ball full, the cue ball just draws straight back to the bottom rail, and you just have nothing. And so that's another reason why you don't want to use topspin there. Now, that's actually related to the break shot that we're going to look at today. Often, a cut shot into the side pocket is the best break shot you can come up with. We want the break ball to be below the side pocket and far enough the rail that we can cut it in. This is workable from a lot of angles. I'm going to leave the cue ball kind of parallel to it. Now, this is similar to the rail shot below the rack in that a lot of people think you got to use a lot of draw. Oh, I want to draw the cue ball deep into the corner to make sure that I don't miss the rack. And yeah, that can work if you're not hitting it too hard. But remember, what happens the harder we hit the shot? The longer the cue ball stays on the tangent line. So if you're hitting this really hard, that draw is not going to do anything. It's going to go to the rail, the same spot in the rail anyway, and then your draw doesn't accomplish anything. So what we really want to do we've got to find a balance between draw and the speed. We want enough speed, or we don't want too much speed that the cue ball just jumps straight to the rail. We need to hit it soft enough that we get a little bit of draw, hopefully, depending on the angle of the cue ball. But the real key is a lot of left spin, right spin on this side. The spin is going to widen the angle off the first rail so you hit closer to the corner pocket. And then the spin from there is going to bring the cue ball this way so you hit the rack and you don't miss it. If you don't get deep enough or have enough left spin, then you're going to come here and then you'll come this way and miss the rack. So it's a balance between speed and spin, and there's so many variations to where the object ball and the cue ball can be. We can't cover them all. But I want to try and show two different speeds. I'm going to hit one softer and one harder. So we know from the rail shot below the rack that when we're hitting this, we can't expect a lot. We're not going to explode the balls. We're hitting this corner of the rack. The energy is going to go this way. We're going to get 3 or 4 balls loose from the top. The cue ball is going to come over this way. We're looking for a shot in the side, and a ball usually comes over here. We might have a shot in the corner pocket. When you're shooting the rail shot, the cue ball is often coming into the bottom at a sharper angle, and so you don't get as much cue ball movement because it's hitting it full. With this one, we're coming out of the corner at more of a glancing angle. So that's why a lot of people think it's a little better to hit this one harder, because you're not going to open up as many balls, and the cue ball can actually carry them over this way instead of coming this way. So let's try it one softer and then one harder. I'll do the softer one first. So low left. So try and pick up that corner ball, and that's what you can expect. Don't try and splatter the balls. I have a shot in the side. I have a shot in the corner. This also happens a lot. I can shoot the 15 now and reposition the cue ball for a rebreak. That's what you're looking for in this rack. Don't try and splatter them. Control the cue ball and get your rebreak shot. Now I can position the cue ball on the 8 and open them up and go from there. So let's try one a little bit harder. Notice the cue ball hit the corner ball, came to the rail, and it just sits right here. That's best case scenario. Well, I don't even need the rack. So if I'm going to hit this shot harder, I'm going to go for a little more gusto. You've got to aim a little bit lower on the cue ball, because remember that speed is going to want to hold the cue ball in the tangent line, and we're trying to curve it deeper in the corner. Okay. Now, I think the softer one's better. You tell me. Really, you should go to your table and try each one 10 times. But notice, when you hit it harder, the cue ball is going to come back into here. The cue ball can float up here and just hide behind these balls, and you have nothing. That's why I think it's better to hit it softer, because you know you're going to have that shot in the side and the shot in the corner. And honestly, for the extra risk that I took, what did I gain? There's 4 balls loose instead of 2, but I really only have 1 shot. And I got lucky to get that. So, 6 one, half a dozen of the other. You decide what you like best. Okay, so let's see if I can clear this rack. The 4 ball goes. So obviously a cut shot here would be wonderful. And leaving the 8 ball would be great, because then I don't have to blast the 4 ball. I can just hit it with a more moderate speed, hold the cue ball here for a shot on the 8 in the side. So can I get there? It'd be delicate to get there for right now from the 1 ball, but I guess it can be done. I'm going to try it. I mean, it's delicate because I need to roll the cue ball forward just a little bit. The reason why I like doing it is if I don't get there, I should have a shot on the 15. Oh, and what about the 11? It's kind of hidden by the 7. I don't think I can count on the 11. And nothing else looks like it's wired. Okay, so one advantage to having the rack drawn on the table is I can come over here and look at where straight in is, and I want this angle or maybe a little bit more, and the line on the table gives me a visual reference for how far I need to follow the cue ball forward. I don't know if that helps, but it might. So I came much farther forward than I wanted to. This is a very makeable shot, but it's difficult because I'm going to be shooting it with a bridge. I think if I'm confident I can shoot the 15, well, I can shoot the 15 easy enough. It's an easier shot, but I don't know if I can hold the cue ball in, on top of the 4. I could just roll it in and let the cue ball come here and then use the 12 to reposition for the 4. So I'm kind of putting all my eggs in one basket there. But that's the decision you got to make. If you're a real aggressive player, you've got the opening break shot. 8 in the side, 2 rails, hit the corner, come off. It might work out. That's the aggressive shot. I don't like the 15 because I think the cue ball is going to go too far. I got to hit it too soft, and I think I'm going to end up with this angle, and I might end up having to shoot the 12 and go into him anyway. And I don't have a full pocket for the 4, but I think that's the right shot. Yeah, I've talked myself into it. It's a difficult shot with the bridge, but I don't have to blast the balls. I've got 2 balls that might function as insurance balls, and something else can open up. So let's make sure we cut this 4 ball past that 14. And let me do a little better job with this. When we're using the bridge, you want to put your cue stick on the bridge and stand back here and sight it. And you can kind of, just go back and forth and just get really sighted on that. Okay, now I know where my cue needs to be pointed. Now I can bring the bridge over to that spot. Now when I get on the ball, I only have to just really fine tune it a little bit. And I hit the 14. Oops, and I hit the 15. That's a foul. Since I didn't disturb the balls very much, we'll consider that a good example of why that's not a good shot. It's a really tough shot. I thought I was cutting the cue ball clear of that 14, and I wasn't. So obviously the rack balls aren't the same, but I've still got the 4 ball position where there's not a full pocket. Let's see what happens if I shoot the 15. So shooting the 15, I've got to let my cue ball hit this rail. I can't hit it. I can't try and baby it. So I'm going to have a long shot on the 12, but I will have a shot. What are my odds compared to the 4 ball? Okay. So I think you could tell, based on the execution of those 2, that the 15 was the correct choice. Much easier shot. I went for the more aggressive one. I thought I would be able to open the rack. I felt overconfident. And that's a hard judgment call to make when you're playing straight pool, is to always be choosing the correct shot. That's one of the things John Schmidt taught me. He's told me several times. Everybody misses. Your job is to try to not misdecide. That's what that was. So now I've got two choices here. I can cut the 12 and go to the side rail and back. I'll have 2 chances, the 8 or the 4, to reopen. See what I'm saying? So I can just come to the rail and out, and I'll have, if it stops here, I'll have the 8. If it comes here, I'll have the 4. I could also shoot the 12 and just follow straight in. I'll probably hit the 7 or the 4. Again, that's the more aggressive shot. So let's see if we. Yeah, I think that's the right shot. I've got a foot, more than a foot of rail space here to come across. So I think this is the smarter shot. Now, what I just shot is called a wing shot. And that's the video I've been working on. And honestly, I started working on my website, so the video is way behind, but I'm free now. I'm going to start working on, I'm going to get back into that's wing shot video, and that'll be coming out soon. Okay, so now it's either, I've got an angle on the 8, I either got to try and pinch it and hold the cue ball here for the 4, or go ahead and shoot the 8 and run into him with topspin. I'm going to do the latter because I have like a 15-degree angle, and that's just ideal to get the cue ball to go through the 8 into those. So there's no reason to try and play another shot to get on a break shot that I already have. I'm not going to have an insurance ball. I've got to rely on the ball's opening to give me a shot. So I'm just taking a look at it. Am I going to hit this part of the 7 or this part? And I'm probably going to hit the left part of the 7. So I want to have a touch of left English, not a lot, and top spin. The cue ball is going to double carom, and I'm seeing it go to the side rail and out, and maybe have a shot on the 4 or the 8 or something else. The 2 ball is probably going to come over here as well. So I don't have to blast it. I'm not trying to force follow through the balls. I'm just trying to glance off them, come out. Let's see if that's what happens. Not quite. So it did come this way, but it didn't carry him this way. It went, the top spin brought it forward. You saw the left spin, which kind of checked it. So I'm still not out of the woods. I've got to cut the 10 ball and run into these. That'll probably be okay. I'm going to hit the 13, then the cue ball is going to hit the 11. I like that because it's going to slow the cue ball down. I'm not going to hit it hard anyway, but it's going to slow it down. Hopefully I don't knock the 11 all the way up table. I'll have a shot on the 2, or the cue ball might go forward, a shot on the 4 or the 14. So notice we're still just trying to get the cue ball under control here. We're not even thinking about a break shot yet. I guess I should point out as well, some people are going to choose the 2. I don't like it because I'm against the rail. If the cue ball was out farther, I would shoot the 2 for sure because I'm dead straight. And then I'll have a shot on the 11 or the 10, and I can do something that has more control where I'm not just loosely running into balls. Yeah, I'm going to state for the record, if you're confident shooting off the rail like this, the 2 ball's the better shot, for sure. All right, I'm going to shoot this 10. Okay, so they went exactly where I thought. 11 ball up table, cue ball caromed off those and came up. I hit more balls than I wanted to. This is really tough because I have no break shot. The 11 is in a terrible spot, and I have no break shot. But they're pretty much open. I'm going to have to do something here, but not a big deal. The easiest shot is the 4. The 7's not bad. Obviously, I can cut the 2 as well. Let's see. So the 11 ball is what drives this. I can see an opportunity to nudge a ball open for a break ball below the rack. But the question is, when am I going to get the 11? Okay? So I could shoot the 4, shoot the 13, do something with this, shoot another ball. Then I'm going to have to lay up on the rail for the 11 and then move the cue ball either across for the 14 or back down for one of these balls. So what I'm saying is I can do the work, then get the rail ball. Or I can shoot the 7 right now, bring the cue ball over here, and shoot the 11. In other words, shoot the trouble ball, and then go do the work. I don't know which is best, honestly. I think the choice is whichever shot is a higher percentage for you, and controlling the cue ball. So I'm going to look at, I know I'm going to end up here. I have to know that I'm good on that 11. Because if I shoot the 7 ball and I end up here with too much angle, now I'm really hosed. Now I've got to shoot an even tougher shot. And I just looked at it. I've got to land really good on this 11 because if I'm over here, my cue ball is going to hit the point and I can scratch or not be able to control the cue ball very well. So this is pretty tough. I'm going to go ahead and shoot the 4 The reason why is I'm going to try and hold the cue ball here for a shot on one of these. But even if the cue ball comes out, I'll have the 2 or the 7. So I'm going to be okay. But let's try and hold the cue ball there, or close to there. Yeah, it came out too far. Okay, now this is the first shot of the entire rack that I finally got the cue ball under control. That's why it's not a good break shot. Oh, and I missed. So actually, this is a mulligan attempt. Easiest shot is the 2. I'm straight, so it's going to be hard to get the cue ball right here for the 11. There's no way I'm going to cut the 9. 5 doesn't go. So I've got to shoot the 2. And these are still an issue. Boy, this is going to be a trick if I can get out from here. Mostly because of this 11. If that 11 wasn't there, yeah, and I'm also thinking I might prefer to bring the cue ball up here to shoot the 11, because then I'm not flirting with this point. I can move the cue ball. It's a harder shot shooting past both points, but so I'm just looking at if I stop the cue ball, if I go here. Yeah, if I stop the cue ball, I can go 7 ball, come up to the head rail and over here for the 11. That's leaving a lot of work to the end, but that was the choice that I talked about, and that's what we made. Well, I think that's very controllable, so let's do it. Give me an angle. That is not the best angle, but it is an angle. Yeah, a lot of work. So I've got to hit this hard to bring the cue ball across. I want to get flat enough on the 14 that I can shoot the 13 and tap these and have the 9 in the side and hopefully make a break ball there. Alternatively, shoot the 9, knock the 13 over, plus run into these to open them up. So that's a lot of work, and making this ball and getting on the 14 is a lot of work as well. Get over there, baby. Yes. All right. So if I get an angle to bump the 13 down for below the rack break shot, I'm not going to get there's no way I'll get these open. If I hit it hard enough to hit all of the balls, I'll never have the below the rack break shot. So probably the shot is to get an angle on the 13 to knock the 6 down to the rail. Because then the cue ball will be here. I'll have a shot on one of those, and then I can shoot a below the rack, a rail break shot. So that's going to be pretty much where the 14 is now. And we're playing the whole pocket there, aren't we? Okay, that's a good position for a break ball. I would prefer to shoot the 9 ball right now, but I can't elevate it over the... Well, I might have to. I don't have a good angle on the 5. Oh boy. That's not my favorite shot in the world. If the 5 wasn't there, it's like a 99% shot. But with the 5 there, and then I'm going to end up, the cue ball is going to be here, so I kind of have a hard time. All right, I'm going to have to shoot the 5. And I have a little angle. Let me look at it. Yeah, I'm actually going to have a bunch of angle. I'm going to go ahead and bring the cue ball out here for the 9 in the same pocket. That's what it leads naturally to. Sure. Well, it's hard to judge how hard to hit those. Obviously, I messed it up. Let's remember where these are. This one's right there. Okay. So from here, really, you're going to end up shooting the 6 ball and then playing safe. That's what you're going to do in a tournament match. But if I'm trying to if I'm doing a solo high run attempt, I really fouled up the shot. If I'm doing a solo high run attempt, I'm going to shoot the 6 and come out to center table, because from center table, you're going to be able to cut the spotted ball into either corner pocket. Let's do that, and then I want to set this up again. So obviously I'm going to cut the 9 into the upper right. Obviously 2 rails out of the top. If you hit the side of the rack, your chances of scratching here are huge. But I have hit the side of the rack softly, where the cue ball just dribbles down, and you knock a ball or 2 this way, and you're able to continue. The alternative is you come into the top of the rack, and then either stick or come this way. That's a small target. And it's really, obviously, it's very hard to judge from here. Let's see if I can make it. Well, I'm just going to do one attempt, and I'm going to set the other balls back up. So that's pretty much what I said. Into the side of the rack, if you hit it full enough, soft enough, you get a shot. So this is really about as good as you can expect from that break shot. And it's not bad at all. I can shoot the 12. I can use the 1 to run into them. Obviously there's things that you could do to try and continue this one. You'd want to be a little bit aggressive, because they're clustered and you really only have 2 open balls. You can shoot the 12, then shoot the 1 and run into them, or you can shoot the 1 and come out here. Well, no, you'd have to just come forward and shoot the 3. But if the 3 is gone, you can get over here, and then the 13 goes and you can open them. So there's options there. But I want to take a look at this. So they didn't turn out real well for me, but that happens. You got to deal with it. So I had a slight angle, but I'm elevated over this ball. So once again, we're talking about choices, decisions. I can't help but mentioning, your decisions in 9-ball or 10-ball are pathetic, simple compared to straight pool. And this rack is just one example. Look at all the decisions I had to make about what ball to shoot when and why and what angle. It's a way better game, way more challenging. So obviously, if I hit this hard enough, the cue ball comes 2 rails, and then I have an angle on the 7 to just come over here for the 3 ball below the rack break shot. But that's a lot of ifs. The problem is the 7 ball on the side is not great. And it's about like that. But I've had 1 shot at each. Now, I just want to roll this in. I don't want to go to the rail and out. What that means is I'm going to be below the 1, so my shot on the 1 is going to be to go to the rail and come straight back across to land here on the 3. But I failed shooting the 1. Let's see if I can accomplish it shooting the 7. Okay. Maybe the 7 was the correct shot, even though I'm elevated over the ball. Maybe before it looked like it was a simple matter to come over here for the 7. But now I do have to execute this shot well, because I can't follow to the rail and end up in the rack. And I don't want to come too low, because then I'll be too straight in. So it's a real, trying to land just right here is tough. You don't want to stop here, because now you're bridging over the rack to shoot your break shot. So you really got to visualize that spot. And that ain't bad. Yep, I'm not over the rack. So it's kind of interesting that I ended up with the same break shot that I had in the last 2 racks of the week. So I ought to be able to know what to do here, right? Just left spin, no high or low. Just try and clip this 11 ball, medium speed. I really hit that 11 thin, didn't I? I hit it too thin. The balls went exactly where we thought, but I had too much left English and I hit it too thin. It's going to happen. I think this has been great, this rack of the week, because I made 2 mistakes, but they were really educational, and I was able to set them back up and talk through it. So hopefully you got something out of that and enjoyed it, and see you next week on Rack of the Week. Going to play straight pool, play it straight.